So we moved into this house about 1.5 years ago, and we're halfway through our second winter now. And this kitchen here is really cold. Even when you have this heater on all the time, it just doesn't get warm. And I've realised the main problem is there's almost no insulation in the ceiling here. There's a void above that. So there's plasterboard, then a void, and then you've got an insulated roof, which I can show you outside. Now this roof does have insulation on the underside of that roof, but they've left 4 holes in the eaves, so one in that corner, one in that corner, and one in each of the corners behind, and that allows cold air to circulate in that void. So although the roof is insulated just beneath these slates, it's actually very cold in there. So I'm going to try to insulate the ceiling above here, and I've got to be careful here because this is a kitchen, so there's often quite a lot of moist air in here. So I've got to be careful to make sure there's no condensation, so no moisture that gets through this roof, or at least to limit that moisture as much as possible. So I'm going to go up there to do that now. Hi, so I've been insulating this little loft space up here. This is directly above the kitchen. You get into it via my daughter's room. There's a little cubby hole there. Now this had absolutely no insulation on it before. I've pulled up these floorboards and I've put this insulated aluminium foil down, and I've taped the seams very carefully with aluminium tape, and that's to make sure that as little as possible moisture will be able to get up through here. Now there were 2 lamp fittings as well, so I've been very careful to tape a lot around those to stop any air from getting up through there. And what I've used for this bit of insulation is just this aluminium foil there. It's insulated a bit like bubble wrap. Next thing is to put insulation down on top of this and in between these rafters, and then I'll put this flooring back and put some nice carpet on top of it, and that will also help to insulate. And the reason I have to do this is because although there's insulation here in the rafters, there's actually little holes in each of the corners. You can even see light through some of these. Even now with these lights on, you can see a bit of light coming through there. And so it just means that this insulation here was practically useless, because air just flows quite happily around here from the outside. So once I put this insulation down, that should help a lot and keep the kitchen quite a lot warmer. Okay, it's freezing in here at the moment. It's about 6 degrees. It says 74% humidity. It was about 72 when I came in. I'm about to put this rockwool insulation down. So I've got to cut this to the right size. Apparently the best thing to use is just a saw like this. Well, that was a lot more difficult than I expected, but I could saw through it without too much difficulty. So now it's a case of undoing it and rolling it out. So that just rolls out like this. So it does seem to fit quite nicely in here, but I'm not sure whether that's a snug enough fit or whether I should go into that bay there. I'll roll it out a bit more and then make a decision. Okay, I tried both and actually decided that the one where it's a bit of a snugger fit is probably better, because I don't want to leave any gaps around the side. So I now know that I want to cut it maybe a couple of centimetres wider than the actual bay, and then it will be nice and snug when it fits in there. So I'll do that with the rest of them. Okay, that's gone down pretty easily so far. I do have to make sure that it's going to go underneath these wires there, and also I want it to go round, so some under, some over these pipes, which are for the radiator downstairs, which have just been previously going through this freezing cold void, so heating useless air up here and letting it outside. Then I've got to get it under here as well, which is a metal spar that goes across these, so I'm going to have to actually cut it here, but I saw that you just saw through it or even just rip it apart, and so I'm just going to probably try and pull this apart with my hands and get it underneath here, and then roll it out to the end and work out exactly how it's best to get it under these wires and around these pipes later. But this has so far been really easy just to roll out. Okay, I started ripping it apart with my hands, but actually it was better to saw it in the end. Makes it much easier and clean the cut. Actually, it's really easy just to push it under here. Actually, just as easy as it looks like in the YouTube video I saw from the manufacturer. So that is great, no trouble at all. So this is great. 10 minutes later, I'm feeling pretty comfortable about doing this. It's really forgiving stuff, so it goes over these pipes without any trouble at all. I'm not sure if I even want to put it underneath them, because it just seems to be nice and airtight above them. I've got to push it down a little bit more, but it's really easy to work with. So that's half of it done with one roll, a bit over half of it done, and I will finish it off tomorrow. So that's all done now, and that was really easy. It's probably only about an hour's work. I've never done that before. The only thing I would say I learned is it seems useful to cut it a couple of centimetres wider than the bay it's going to go in, so that it makes a nice snug fit. So I'm just putting the boards back down here now, then I'll put carpet on top and we'll be done.